We're back with FPTV. I'm Tom Ricks, and now we're talking to Andy Sumner. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
The first question is about foreign aid. What's the future of foreign aid, especially in the American context?
Okay, well, foreign aid is going through a kind of revamp, I think, or maybe even a revolution of some kind. In the past, there was a prevailing notion that the world's poor lived in very poor countries. Now, most of the world's poor, maybe three-quarters of the world's poor, actually even countries that aren't so poor, they're middle-income countries. It's not only India, but it's also countries like Cameroon, even Sudan's a middle-income country now. So Nigeria, Pakistan, and other countries. So there's a big questions about, foreign aid isn't just about money anymore. It's about a set of relationships. Maybe it's more about trade policy. Maybe it's more about tax havens, a whole range of other policies that are kind of beyond just sort of dollops of money.
Is there one country you think is about to move out of the ranks of the poor, and we still think of as poverty-stricken that's really not?
Sorry, just run that past me again?
Is there one country that Americans tend to think of as poverty-stricken these days that you think is really not anymore, that is making that leap?
Well, there's a number of countries in Africa that you would associate with being very sort of low-income countries. Countries like Cameroon, Sudan, Senegal. These are countries that, for various reasons, sometimes through natural resources, suddenly find themselves at much higher levels of average incomes, but still with about the same numbers of poor people. So increasingly, aid was very simple when you had poor people in poor countries because they just need money. Now it's much more about the relationship between people and their governments and what can external forces do to influence the relationship between people and their governments. That's a much harder question.
It is. Here's an easier one. Best idea of the year?
Best idea of the year, I think. It's got to be something about technology and what are the big technological developments of the year? I suppose there's the way people have turned social technology into a activist tool. I mean, I don't think anyone, when YouTube and Twitter were set up, no one intended them to start revolutions. And so people have taken existing technology and just done stuff with them. So that strikes me as the idea of the year.
So you're another thumbs up for Occupy Wall Street guy?
I think it reflects the fact that people are a bit fed up. The world's been through quite a messy few years, and nothing much has changed. And the guys that made a mess of it haven't really been kind of called to account. So it's a reaction to the fact nothing much has changed. And you look at what's happening further afield in Europe, where I come from, I think there's bigger question marks, particularly about the role bond markets play in shaping economic policy.
If I keep this up, we're going to get Occupy FP going.
Yeah.
Worst idea of the year?
Oh, too many to mention. I'd rather not dwell on the worst.
Okay. And finally, books and movies. What novel would you recommend?
You know, just as I was talking as I came over here, that when I heard that question a minute ago, I have a 16-week-old baby, daughter.
You're excused. Have you had a chance to watch any films?
And you know what the response was when I thought, what best film? The one that sprung to mind immediately was Kung Fu Panda.
It's because it's the only film you've watched?
Possibly, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.